left tackle spot, right? I mean, he's a very solid player, but Jordan has to show up every single day. He might not be afraid of losing his position to someone on our team, but if he doesn't show up, Miles or KJ or Maskell or XT, and those guys are going to expose him, make him look bad. So I think that healthy competition has given us a competitive edge, and we talk about in recruiting too, like, hey, iron sharpens iron. You're going to play against the best players every single day, and that's what you want, because it makes you better.
Thomas, you mentioned Jordan. He's a guy we're going to hear from tomorrow. How invaluable is it to have someone like that who's not only a leader on the field, but a leader off of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, he's from an hour away down in Spartanburg, so he knows Clemson. He believes in Clemson. He's been in a program for 5 years, so he's a very committed guy, and he's just very consistent. He just shows up every single day. I mean, a lot of things people talk about, like he got stingers and bruises and banged and dislocated fingers. All that stuff happens as the season goes on, and he just keeps playing. And so, and then he's a great leader for our team. Him and Putnam and Parks are all great leaders. Sometimes they need to become more vocal, but Jordan is a guy that doesn't just lead by example. He brings other guys with him. So if he's coming in Saturday and gets some extra work, or he's going to the castle and doing recovery, he's bringing other guys along with him. And so he's demonstrating to other guys what it takes to be a great player. And he's taking those guys in the film room and watching extra film with them. And so he's an invaluable asset to our team. And one of the reasons our summer has been so good is because you have those three guys in particular who are leading the charge. We can't be out there in the summer. And so you have to have strong veteran leadership that can carry on the drills that you want done and do it the right way.
Does he have some of those coach on the field tendencies that you lean on in particular as a first?
He does, yeah. I mean, all three of those guys are they're very knowledgeable. They know what they're doing, and so he does a great job kind of bringing along those young guys.
Thomas, if somebody would have told you going into spring that y'all would not get somebody out of the portal to sort of shore up that interior line, would you have been surprised?
No, I don't think I would have been surprised. I mean, I think, we had a very specific criteria that we were looking for, and really feel like one or two guys fit that criteria. And so, but at the end of the day, knew that, hey, we've got 13 guys, 14 guys, plus some really good walk-ons that will give us the depth that we need. And so some of that's just challenging, Putnam. I think I was probably surprised at how well Putnam took over the center job, and then it was also good to see, Ryan Linthicum and Trent Howard really kind of start to take that next step, because that's the other part of it, is the depth behind them is what you're concerned about.
His Putnam snaps, could you maybe give an idea of the frequency of the bad snaps?
We tracked it every day. We call it ball in jeopardy. Anytime a guy puts the ball on the ground with his quarterback or running back, we track it. And so from a center standpoint, he averaged about one a day for the first kind of 10 days of practice, which, when you think about the number of snaps he's taken, is really good. And like I said, maybe earlier in the spring, when he missed early on, it was low, which you can. It's not ideal, but you can deal with that. When I had issues as a player, I snapped it over the head. That's a problem, right? So, but then, one thing is, in the spring game, didn't have a single bad snap, and so he knows it and he feels it, which is always a good sign. And then I mentioned earlier on the radio, I watched some spring games this year, and you watch some of these guys' spring games, and they've got 8, 6, 7, 8 bad snaps in a spring game, and that's something you don't notice, and you should notice, because it should be routine. And then the reports from this summer have been excellent, and so because Putnam's a guy that he's going to take every rep full speed. Some young centers have issues when if you're going half speed and you're practicing your snapping, everything can be fine. Well, now you speed it up, and you've got Brian Brzee across from you, and the tendency is to snap it harder and higher, but he takes full speed reps every time. That's been an issue.
Is the biggest difference compared to Bachbor's last year was just simply the drill had an entire?
Yeah, I think it certainly helps. Bach kind of got in there. He kind of dabbled in it through the spring, but he didn't get many competitive reps in the spring. And so to have 15 extra practices plus the entire summer with the mindset that I'm going to be the starting center, I think is a big difference. Because Bach is, you can't thank Bachhorst enough for what he did. Very unselfish, but he didn't have. He was in a tough position. Some of that was Mason Trotter broke his hand in camp and some of those things. So he did what the team needed him to do. So I think that's probably the difference with him. But it's just the opportunities that he's had to master those skills.
I was out of talking to Sean Elliott. He was telling me about at Georgia State. You had something called the safe chair for players, so they can just say whatever they want to say. Do you remember why you implemented that? And is there anything similar in Clemson?
Well, I stole it straight from Coach Sweeney, so it's very similar. So it's funny he said that because he used to give me a hard time about it. Coach Sweeney called it the safe seat, and so we would do that throughout summer, where he would just put a little chair down there, and one of our guys would come down there and he'd ask questions, and then the team could ask questions. It's just a way of getting to know your teammates, building those relationships with each other. So when I got down to Georgia State, I felt like there was a little bit of we need to build the camaraderie within the offensive line room. And so that was something we did during training camp. It also breaks up the tedium and monotony of camp and allows guys to see different sides. And you got to be real. I jumped in the safe seat, and so the idea is any question that is asked, you have to answer. So it's just a way to build a relationship with the O-line.
Have you done anything in Clemson?
No, but we've got some stuff planned, for training camp as you get more time. Spring is always a time where you're pressed. You're that 20-hour rule. Whereas in training camp, that rule goes away. You have more time with the guys.
How important is that camaraderie just on the offensive line?
Yeah, it's critical. It's critical. I felt like, part of it was a byproduct of COVID. When I felt like the O-line room was a little bit disjoined, just from COVID and guys living away from each other and all that stuff. And so we've tried to be very intentional about doing stuff together as a group. And we had guys that would go, hey guys, I'm grilling out this weekend, who wants to show up? And then the guys would show up, so it wasn't a lack of trying. And so I think some of these younger guys got to realize, hey man, this is this isn't do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. You need to spend time with your teammates, and when you know what a guy's been through and you empathize, you put yourself in their shoes, then your respect for them grows, and I think your love for them grows as well. So I think that's critical.
Can you kind of reflect on your first few months as an on-the-road recruiter and maybe why that's led to some success in the class in your position?
Yeah,
well, you can talk about specific
I think we've had success because we have a great product to sell, number one. But I think we try to be very specific in what we're looking for, and because we have a very specific criteria.